Welcome students. Today's our lesson is about how organisms obtain energy. According to that, we have two types of organisms. We have autotrophs and heterotrophs. If we start here, just we look at the prefix auto means by themselves. So autotrophs, organisms that can make their own food. Heterotrophs, the prefix hetero means different. What does that mean? They are depending on different resources to obtain their food. So we ended up by talking about two types of organisms, the way how they obtain their food. Let's see the different types of autotrophs and heterotrophs. Here, for autotrophs, we have photoautotrophs. What does that mean? That means these organisms depends on photons in between two brackets. Let's talk about the light. So they depends on the light energy to make their own food, and a big example is the plant. And the other type is the chemoautotroph. That means this organism depends on the energy that came from whom? From the chemicals. So both of them, they build their own food, but with different resources of energy. Regarding heterotrophs, we have several types like omnivores, carnivores, herbivores, even decomposers and detritivores. Again, autotroph uses sunlight to make its own food. Heterotroph, maybe they can feed on autotrophic, eating herbs, maybe herbivores, or even omnivores, and feeds on other heterotrophs, maybe carnivores or omnivores. Now let's talk about metabolism, which means all the chemical reactions in the cell. Now, this refers to what? This refers for all chemical reactions for building and breaking down compounds. And it's not just reaction and done. It's like a series of reactions. As we can see here, for example, A, it's a reaction, and B, it's a product. Now B, it will enter another reaction. So it's like a chain. This chain, we call it metabolic pathway. And we will end also by a cycle. Let's take this example about metabolism. According to energy, we have two types of chemical reactions, catabolic and anabolic. Catabolic pathways, when we release energy by breaking down the large molecules like here. Glycogen is a polysaccharide. When we break it to glucose, we will release energy. In this case, we call it catabolic. The other case of metabolism pathway, when we build a large molecule, the same idea. When we need to store glucose, we will store it in a large molecule, which is a glycogen inside the liver. So at that time, we need to absorb energy. So catabolic, releasing energy, anabolic, absorbing energy. Another example, the photosynthesis and respiration. As we know, photosynthesis absorbs the light energy. So we can consider this anabolic pathway, in which the light energy from the sun is converted to chemical energy to use it by the cell to make glucose, to build large molecule. So we store energy here. This is anabolic. Now, for respiration, it's catabolic. Why? Because we break down the glucose in order to release energy. So this is another example of having catabolism and anabolism metabolic pathways. Here another example of catabolic pathway and anabolic. We will talk about the energy molecule, the unit of cellular energy, which is ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Tri means 3 phosphate groups. Okay? Now, the whole idea is how to break down the ATP to have energy. We will use water by hydration or hydrolysis that will break down one of the chemical bonds, so we will release one phosphate group. Then ATP will change to ADP. ADP, adenosine diphosphate. Di means we have two phosphate groups. So by releasing energy, this is catabolism. And it's a cycle. We need to rebuild it again to have a larger molecule by adding one chemical bond, which is phosphate. So we need to absorb energy. This will be anabolic. As you see here, let me add something that once we remove one phosphate, we call it dephosphorylation. And once we add a phosphate group, we call it phosphorylation. For your information, so from ATP to ADP, this is catabolic, releasing energy. From ADP to ATP, this is anabolic, absorbing energy. This is the end of the lesson. Thank you so much.